your host, Andrea, bringing you commentary you can use. So I hope that you're doing well. Happy Monday. Thank you so much for taking time out of your Monday to tune in to this live broadcast. So if you're tuning in or if you're watching the replay, please say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. Boy, do I have some news to share with you all this evening. So before I do that, I want to say thank you all so much. Those of you who are my subscribers, my supporters, I want to say thank you so much for supporting the channel, for tuning in. I really, really appreciate you all so much. And if you're not subscribed to the channel yet, I would like to invite you to subscribe. That way you can join our community. And that way you can join our community and also make sure that you stay connected whenever I do upload new content every week. So again, I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome. Please say hello. Let me know where you're watching from. All right, so let me type something in the chat really quickly. Okay. All right. So, again, welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you all so much for tuning in. I want to come and I want to bring some information to you. This information comes from China. So you all know right here on the channel, I do have, from time to time, I do report on world news. And when I do that, I always say that, some people may be like, okay, Andrea, well, I live in the United States. I don't live abroad. I don't live in another country. Some people may say, well, why should I be concerned about what's happening in another country? And to that, I say, you want to, for example, the story that I'm going to talk about tonight, we want to take a look at that as the other stories that I've talked about. I'll be sure to go back after this video and I'll make sure that I post a link to my world news playlist. That way you can watch other world news stories. But I always say, we want to look at what's going on, in this case, particularly China. And we want to say, okay, is this about to happen in the United States? Or if something like this were to happen, look at how they're dealing with that situation. Okay, so the goal is for us to look at what's going on in China, the news that I'm going to be reporting. And we want to say, okay, worst case scenario, if this was to happen here in the United States, what can we do right now? What are some steps that we can take to prepare so that, we and our family members, our loved ones are prepared. Okay. All right. So this news comes from CNN. And hold on just a minute, y'all. Okay. All right. So this news comes from CNN Business. And the title of the article says, China crushes mass protests by bank depositors demanding their life savings back. Okay. So let me give you all some information on that. All right. So Chinese authorities, the article says that Chinese authorities on Sunday violently dispersed a peaceful protest by hundreds of depositors. Listen to this, y'all. They violently dispersed a peaceful protest by hundreds of depositors who sought in vain to demand their life savings back from banks that have run into a deepening cash crisis. Okay. Now, the article goes on to say that since April of this year, there were 4 rural banks in China. Listen to this, y'all. It's kind of giving you some background information on how they got to this point. So the article says that since April, 4 rural banks in China's central Henan province have frozen millions of dollars worth of deposits, threatening the livelihoods of hundreds of thousands of customers in an economy already battered by draconian lockdowns. Okay. All right. The article continues by saying that anguished depositors have staged several demonstrations in the city of Jingshu. Okay. I hope I didn't. If I pronounced that wrong, I apologize. Okay. The provincial capital of Henan over the past 2 months, but their demands have invariably fallen on deaf ears. Okay. On Sunday, the article says more than 1,000 depositors from across China gathered outside of the branch of the country's central bank, the People's Bank of China, to launch their largest protest yet. More than half a dozen protesters told CNN. Okay, now the article continues by saying the demonstration is among the largest China has seen since the pandemic, with domestic travel limited by various restrictions on movement. Okay, and I've even reported on some of those restrictions right here on the channel. Okay. Last month, it says authorities even resorted to tampering with the country's digital health code system. Listen to this, y'all. Okay, let me start over because this is kind of like, what? Wait a minute, what? It says last month, authorities even resorted to tampering with the country's digital health code system to restrict the movements of depositors and thwart their planned protests, sparking a nationwide outcry. Now, what do y'all think about that? That kind of sounds like really weird, like, like what's really going on. So it says the article continues by saying this time, most protesters arrived outside the bank before dawn, some as early as 4 a.m., okay, 4 o'clock in the morning, to avoid being intercepted by authorities, okay? The crowd, it says, included the elderly, children, occupied a flight of imposing stairs outside the bank, chanting slogans and holding up banners. Okay, some of the banners. Well, actually, the article says that they were shouting, for example, Henan Banks, return my savings. Okay, so these people, various ages, including elderly as well as children, they're standing outside of the bank and they're demanding their money. Okay, they want access to their cash. Now, it says using national flags. Okay, so they were outside chanting, Henan Banks, return my savings. They shouted in unison. The article says many waving Chinese flags in videos shared with CNN by two protesters. Okay, the article says using national flags to display patriotism. I can't even talk, y'all. I'm sorry. Using national flags to display patriotism is a common strategy for protesters in China, where dissent is strictly suppressed. Okay, the tactic, the article says, is meant to show that their grievances are only against local governments, and that they support and rely on the central government to seek redress. Okay, thank you all so much for tuning in. Hello. Right, so we got to think about, if you can't access your money in the banks, we can also say that that's taking away some of our freedoms, our rights. So that's definitely a good point that MetaMedi7 shared in the chat. Okay. All right. Let's see. Here's a one of the banners. It said that was written in English, read against the corruption and violence of the Henan government. A large portrait of the late Chinese leader Mao Zedong was pasted on a pillar at the entrance of the bank. Okay. Across the street, hundreds of police, the article says, and security personnel, some in uniforms, other in plain clothes, assembled and surrounded the site as protesters shouted, and I quote, gangsters at them. Okay. It said that the article says the face-off lasted for several hours until after 11 a.m. Now, remember earlier I just said that they got there at 4 a.m. and the protest lasted until after 11 a.m. when rows of security officers suddenly charged up the stairs and clashed with protesters who threw bottles and other small objects at them. Okay, so quite naturally, these people were upset. Okay. The scene quickly descended into chaos. The article says as security officers dragged protesters down the stairs and beat those who resisted, including women and the elderly, according to witnesses and social media videos. Okay. One woman reported, she told CNN that she was pushed to the ground by two security guards who twisted and injured her arm. A 27-year-old man from the southern city of Shenzhen, surnamed Sun, said he was kicked by 7 or 8 guards on the ground before being carried away. A 45-year-old man, the article says, from the central city of Wuhan, said his shirt was completely torn at the back during the scuffle. Okay. Many said that they were shocked by the sudden burst of violence by the security forces. Someone was quoted saying, I did not expect them to be so violent and shameless this time. There was no communication, no warning before they brutally dispersed us. Why would government employees beat us up? This was another quote. We're only ordinary people asking for our deposits back. We did nothing wrong. Okay, so I want to hear from you. Do you feel like these people were justified in going out protesting, saying, hey, if we put our money here at this bank, we want to be able to access the cash. We want to be able to withdraw the cash, whenever we feel the need to. Okay, do you feel like these people were justified? Do you feel like other rules should have been put in place? What's really going on? Why was the bank accused of fraud? Now, I've heard reports of some lenders. I don't know if they were all banks, but there were some lenders who were making loans against, I believe, cryptocurrency. And those of us who pay attention to the financial markets, we have seen the value of crypto fall. And so, basically, here it is now. Loans have been made against cryptocurrency that was at a certain, price, let's say 60,000 or whatever. So I'm just giving a number. But now, I don't know what Bitcoin is. Bitcoin, I'm just using that as an example. Now that price has fallen, but the loan is still there. So, we could look at that as, being a loss. So I don't know if this is what's happening in this case, but I do know that some lenders have found themselves in trouble for that very reason. Okay. You all make sure that you like this video, share this video, and I want to invite you to subscribe to the channel if you have not. Okay, please make sure you give this video a thumbs up. That way others can watch the video as well. Okay. All right, so let me continue. Thank you all again for tuning in. The protesters, the article says, were hurled onto dozens of buses and sent to makeshift detention sites across the city, from hotels to schools to factories. According to people taken there, some injured were escorted to hospitals. Many were released from detention by the late afternoon, the people said. Okay. Let's see. Now, on the article does say late on Sunday night, the Henan banking regulator issued a terse statement, the article says, saying, and I quote, relevant departments were speeding up efforts to verify information on customer funds at the 4 rural banks. Okay. Authorities, the article says, this is a quote or statement. Authorities are coming up with a plan to deal with the issue, which will be announced in the near future. Okay. So again, it sounds like they're just saying, hey, we see what's going on. We know you want your money. We're going to come up with a plan. We don't have an estimated time. We'll let you know when. Okay. So quite naturally, that's not a real solution to all of these people. So, I would imagine that only angered them even more. Okay. So again, I want us to start thinking about, could this possibly happen right here in the United States? So put yourself, not that I want any of us to ever go through something like this, but put yourself just for a moment, put yourself in these people's shoes. Okay. Let's say, they out of, I guess, good faith, they made the choice to put their money in this bank. For whatever reason, the bank is now under investigation for fraud, and these people can't access their money. They want to take their money out. So imagine if that were you in that situation, how would you feel? These people, I'm pretty sure they still have things that they need to purchase, whether it's food, bills, expenses, things like that that have to be paid. And if they have if their money is tied up, if it's frozen, they can't access it, then quite naturally, that's also creating a hardship and a burden for them. So these are things that I want us to think about here in the US or wherever you're watching from, because Andrea Speaks TV is global. These are things that I want all of us to think about. Okay, let me know your thoughts in the comments on this news. Okay, let's see. Okay, police in a city nearby, the article said in a statement late Sunday, they recently arrested members of an alleged, and I quote, criminal gang who are accused of effectively taking control over the Henan Rural Bank starting from 2011 by leveraging their shareholdings and, I quote, manipulating banks' executives. Okay. The suspects were also accused of illegally transferring funds through fictitious loans, the police said, adding that some of their funds and assets had been seized and frozen. Okay. The protest, the article says, comes at a politically sensitive time for the ruling Communist Party, just months before its leader is expected to seek an unprecedented third term at a key meeting this fall. Okay, large-scale demonstrations over lost savings and ruined livelihoods. Okay, remember, these people, they still got to go on with their lives now. They still got things that they got to do, but their money is tied up. Okay, so the article says large-scale demonstrations over lost savings and ruined livelihoods could be perceived as a political embarrassment for the current leader, who has promoted a nationalistic vision of leading the country to, and I quote, great rejuvenation. Okay. The authorities there are also under tremendous pressure to stop the protest, the article says, but depositors remain undeterred. Okay. They're not letting anything get them off track. As the issue drags on, many have become even more desperate to recover their savings. Okay. Let's see. One person, it says one depositor from Wuhan lost his job in the medical cosmetology industry this year as businesses struggle in the pandemic. Okay. Yet he is unable, listen to this, y'all, yet he is unable to withdraw any of his life savings of over, in US dollars, $75,000 from a rural bank in Henan. Okay. He was quoted as saying, being unemployed, all I can live on is my past savings, but I can't even do that now. How am I supposed to support my family? Okay, that's what he was saying. And it also says he has a son in high school. And that comes with expenses as well. Okay. Another person, the article said, is struggling to keep his machine factory from bankruptcy after losing his deposit of, in US dollars, $597,000 to a Henan bank. He can't even pay his more than 40 employees without the funds. Okay. One person said they were covered in bruises, had a swollen lower back after being repeatedly stomped by security guards at the protests. The article ends by saying the incident completely overturned. This is a quote by one of the depositors, who said the incident completely overturned my perception of the government. I've lived all my life placing so much faith in the government. After today, I'll never trust it again. Okay, so that was his quote. So again, you heard it in the words of the depositor, the citizen of that city. This gives us something. I hope that this gives you something to think about. Even though now somebody may look at this and say, okay, this is in China. This isn't happening right now in the United States. Why should I be concerned? But again, I want to tell you, you should be very concerned, because if it's happening there, who was to say that it may not happen, here? Think about, and if you still don't believe me, think about the fact that, and I still see these signs in some places to this day. Remember there was an alleged coin shortage, and they said you had to pay exact change or they couldn't give out coins. Think about that. Are we, if we went through something like that, are we too far from what the people of China are going through right now? So take too much of your time. I have several things that I still need to get done before the sun goes down, but I thought that this was a very important story to take time out of my evening to come and share with you all. Y'all, I'm telling you, every day it seems like there's some new bizarre story happening. I have seen recent updates on what's happening in Sri Lanka. The fact that their leader or one of their leaders has stepped down or agreed to step down. But those of you all who are my subscribers, my supporters, you all know that about 3 months ago, if not longer, 3-4 months ago, I was talking about Sri Lanka and what was happening in their country, the food shortages, the gas shortages, the medical shortages, things like that. I was talking about all of that during a time when no one was talking about Sri Lanka. It wasn't front page headline news. Now, fast forward today, in July 2022, Sri Lanka is on the front page. So again, if you're watching this video and you were somehow led to my channel, I want to thank you so much for your support. But I also want to use this as an opportunity to say and invite you to be a subscriber, because a lot of times I'm talking about stories that are happening or expected to happen that a lot of people aren't talking about yet. So again, I want to say thank you all so much for your support. Make sure that you like this video, give the video a thumbs up, leave a comment or give me some feedback in the comments. I want to say thank you so much for your support. You all take care. Please, please make sure that you're taking care of yourself through everything that's going on. And I believe and I want to encourage you that everything is going to be all right. Okay? All right. Y'all take care. I'll see you again soon right here on Andrea Speaks TV. Bye-bye.